Well, good afternoon and welcome to the special Einstein Sports Talk. I'm your host, Earl Baston. Joining me is none other than Gavin Manders, who was recently appointed as the director of Pickleball, the Pickleball Association for Bermuda. Gavin, first of all, thanks for the time. Pickleball, not new. It is growing. The opportunity to be the director of Pickleball on an island in Bermuda. Take us through how this whole, I guess, came about. I mean, because everybody knows you from the tennis courts.
Sure. I mean, first is thanks to the PAB for believing in kind of who I am and what I represent, and my vision. But it came about. I obviously spoke with you first. I'm retiring from international tennis. Obviously, I'm still heavily involved because MTM, we have a very active academy. I mean, we're out here 6 days a week, well, 7 days a week actually. So when I came back, me and Finnegan were just hitting a couple pickleballs around a bit, and I had already got my certification, almost 4 years ago, but never really, did too much with it. I really just didn't have the time. And I wanted to stay active after not, knowing that I wasn't going to play as much specifically initially because I was just exhausted from, I went to the coaching course, I was there. Then I went to Davis Cup, then I went to Island Games, I tore my pec. I was really just tired. So I went out, was hitting the ball around. I was like, flip, actually, I'm enjoying this. Some of the people I started playing with, some of the guys that were already playing a good bit, ran into Danny Fox, who has really done a good job with helping grow the sport. And, he kind of reeled me a little bit here, a little paddle here, a little, but no, I just was enjoying it. So I started to get a bit more involved. I sat with George Thomas and Danny. This was down at Fairmont, just to talk about, kind of how I could help a little bit initially. So that's when I joined the board, and started to work with the team a bit. And then from there, obviously my juices started flowing. Some of the visions that, we really could do some positive things. Is obviously growing, but there's so many areas that we haven't touched. There's more pathways coming for the next generation within like education and the opportunity for regional competition. So it was really one of them things where I started to talk with them a bit more, and it was like, look, everything that you're talking about makes sense to us. Like, why don't we do this? And here we are. We have the goals and different things that we want to do, but that's kind of how it came about. It was more me getting out on the court, really enjoying it, meeting up with the team, and then them seeing kind of that, like, we could join my vision with what they're trying to do. And it's all about positive change, and they appreciated what I had going on. I appreciated them even supporting me. So here I am.
Yeah. Under the guidance of being the director of Pickleball, what does that job entail?
So the main points that we will definitely attack. We want to get into the schools. We want to make sure that we get the next generation the opportunity to learn it in the right way. The ultimate goal is to have it a part of the PE curriculum. The formation of national teams and national tournaments here, a ranking system, and helping create a regional structure similar to what we've done in tennis. It doesn't exist in pickleball yet. So we really can start to push that way, creating national teams from the junior levels all the way up, even into the seniors. So there, we also want to make sure that, really start to find ways to work with tennis as well. They're transferable to each other if you're teaching this from a grassroots level. So us starting to get pickleball into the grassroots, us starting to understand that we need to listen to each other, that's tennis and pickleball, and figure out ways that we can work together to make a bigger impact. Because I know that there's a lot going on with like tennis this and pickleball this, but for me personally, I'm getting involved with pickleball because, everything that I've done in my life at this point, competition, however you want to put it, you know this, I've always been like, how can I use my passion and my skill set to make a bigger difference? This is another avenue. I do believe we can all work together within it. I don't think it's going to happen overnight, but that is a part of the role and figuring out, how we do this together. Because at the end of the day, if we're both doing well, that means everyone's doing well. That means we're making a bigger impact. That means there's more schools that are getting both. That means there's more educational pathways. That means there's more people doing physical activity. So outside of that, those are my main points, kind of, that I'm bringing. Is also going to be helping the PAB team and their vision, getting more into the community, more inclusivity, more accessibility, and they're big on that. I mean, these courts here, I know that there's a lot of talk, but I mean, this is the only public facility that you can play pickleball.
Right.
So now you have a lot of people having the ability to come out, and it's full here all the time. And for me personally, it's about getting people out and being active. And if there's another way to do that, I think that we need to figure out how we work together.
Is pickleball the T20 of tennis?
That's a great thing. I think, it's really kind of that. I've had combos with people about it, trying to find other ways that you look at sports. It's a great analogy. It's faster. Obviously, there's some that can say, even as a purist within like cricket or thing, you say, oh, well, you're losing this or that, but you're losing something and you're gaining something. And really, if they work together better, that's how that sport grows. And I think with this one, the reason it's a bit different is because the rules are different. But the concept is pretty accurate, because there are so many things that are transferable. Even though the rules are different, it's a racket sport. It's eye hand. So I do think that that's definitely a good way to look at it. Definitely has other dynamics. But at the end of the day, how can we get people out? How can we get them more active? We have diabetes, high percentage within our country. All these different things that we want. We have the tech, with the kids and screen time and all these other things. Why not have another thing that can help us get out? Why not have another thing that can help adults get more active? Why not have another thing that, if you're not good enough to play tennis, that maybe you can start with pickleball and you'll last longer within the sport? Why can't we have that? Okay, we started them in pickleball, they started to pick it up, and they're actually looking pretty good because we've had so much more people playing that some of them would slide over to tennis. For me, it's within where I am in my path. I know that this has so many positives with the next generation, and my goal is to grow that from the grassroots level at the lower, to create more pathways and more positive outlets for the next generation. Obviously, the adults has been known as an older sport, but the average age right now in the US is 35. It used to be 55. And these are things that are changing because high schools are bringing into varsity teams, because universities are getting on board, because they're looking at the Olympics in 8 to 10 years, which means now it's an Olympic sport. So it's just another positive outlet for our youth, and another positive outlet for the community as a whole.
Yeah, there's been a lot said in on social media about tennis and pickleball. It would appear that there are obviously people will doubt because change, it's new. But how do we manage to make sure that we don't? Because in one post I saw it's eliminating a sport.
Okay.
But the concept of trying to convince the person or people that you're not eliminating a sport, you're adding a sport, to make it that much more accessible to people to have an idea to play a different sport.
I think the first thing is to look at these and look at everyone's opinion and their feelings, and honestly get in the room and talk about it. Everyone has a right to feel how they feel. I do think that there are points within some of these that have factual base. But at the end of the day, it's how do we work together to get to the goal that we're looking for? Because I didn't play tennis because it was tennis. I played tennis because it was an outlet for me to go and get an education. Cricket was my best sport. It kind of pulled me from cricket. So this happens in all sports. So from my perspective, I think more communication, more transparency with the moving parts of how this is going to work. Understanding that we can work together. There will never be just, oh yeah, this is what it is. But I do think the first step, and this is how I run my life in general, MTM. That's why we've always been a community place. Let's sit down and listen to what you have to say. It's not that I think that some of the people that are upset about pickleball moving and stuff don't have valid points within there. It's just, well, how do we come up with the solutions?
Right.
How do we really look at this and figure out how to work together? If we're not working together, then there's always going to be this. But if we do work together, at least 75% of what you coming up with that solution should fix a good portion of it. There's always going to be more things, because no different in football, cricket, or track, football, someone that could have did track, but they love football. This happens across the board.
Right.
For me personally, I just think that no one is wrong and no one is right. I think what's right is how do we create positive change for the community? And as long as we at least stay within there and we're looking at it from that perspective, I think a lot of it will be fixed. But I think it's going to take time. I don't think it's just about people going against change. I think, pickleball does go on to tennis courts. This is a worldwide issue. This is not a Bermuda issue.
Right.
For me personally, I'm just about doing as much positive things as possible. If anyone has an issue with what I do, they know where to find me. I'm on the tennis court 7 days a week, but I think for me, having the conversation, right, seeing everyone's points as valid and not saying, well, you are this and you is this, is the start of how we fix this. I think that's the start of how you fix anything. And for me personally, obviously some will look, oh, well, you're the pickleball director now. I still teach tennis 7 days a week. But we will be expanding. We are going to have, we want some of our kids to play pickleball if they enjoy to play pickleball. We want to make a bigger impact. So I guess it's so many more layers to it. I wouldn't get into like each specific area, but I think if we understand how to come together and come up with solutions together, that's the best way forward. And that's my goal. I'm here because I want to make a bigger impact during my lifetime. I want to, Mabry and seeing my dad and my mom and how they did it. Like everything that I've ever done, the competition's over. I don't need to be the best tennis player and be at war all the time, because that's the mentality I have. I want to figure out how to use them skill sets to create more of us.
Right.
I mean, we got Tariq on here. It wasn't even planned. You know that. He just happens to be teaching a lesson.
Right.
We need more of the Tariqs. We need more positive outlets. We need more pathways. It's not just about educational pathways with tennis and pickleball. Now there's another career path for tennis and pickleball. These are things that are happening around the world and successfully. So yeah, I think that's the best way that I can explain where I am within it and where I think it should go.
Right.
From there, it's such a wide spectrum of how to deal with it. But I'm here to create positive change.
Already having the platform from tennis, National Academy, Youth Academy, that type of stuff, how does that work into making it a lot easier to have that transform over to pickleball?
I mean, it's another sport. So because they're so close, I know what it takes to be good at it. We know we've already created the junior program, and we know how to start with the grassroots, why we need to start with the grassroots, why we need 3 to 5 year olds playing and looking at racket sports as a positive thing instead of I only have to do football, or I only do cricket. Finding it's just another area to have more fun. And so for us, we know what it takes to do it on one. This is why a lot of the organizations overseas, and I'm going to be at a rackets conference in a week tomorrow to learn how they're all doing this successfully, because this is being done around the world. We're just behind, and if we can figure out all the best practices, how they've worked together, how they've created structures that allow each other to do well, which means now there's more money to come for both. People talk about it being a money thing. I mean, this is a government facility, so I don't know how much money they think is coming from adding up some pickleball courts. I think we need to understand, and that's what MTM's going to have pickleball coming for sure. And with the structure that we've created, it's just literally using that blueprint to now have more opportunity. So for me, it's a no-brainer. A lot of professionals around the world are doing this. That doesn't mean that I'm not still doing my tennis,
Right.
but I also, this is another opportunity for another Tariq to come that maybe comes in the pickleball area.
Mm.
So it's about creating more positive outlets, more positive pathways. And if MTM can help do that by understanding a blueprint that has been able to do that in tennis, then it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. When you look at your time in tennis, and now you're looking at being a director of pickleball, using your expertise, using all your knowledge, using all your experiences and everything, how do you think it suits you in this role to ensure that they get the best Gavin Manders they can in both? Because you said you're still involved with
Sure.
tennis and pickleball.
Well, I think all of the years of me traveling all around the world, and I tell people all the time, I went to college. I was actually there longer than I was supposed to be. I was blessed to have that opportunity. I went to tennis academy. I've seen how academies are supposed to run. Been to over, I think it's at 34 countries. Seeing all of that, understanding that there's so many ways to do this. There's so many ways that you can create positive change within it. Everything that I've done has come to the point for me to be able to use my knowledge to create more positive change. So I'm at a point now where like I have 3 kids. They are within the next generation of whatever it is. So obviously I've always been helping, but now I want to see a brighter future for my children. I want to see a brighter future for Bermuda. And it requires more people like myself, like yourself, that have a passion and understand how to use that passion to create positive change. Tennis and pickleball are just vehicles for doing it. That's where I am in my life. It's no longer like this or like, I went back to playing cricket. I would love to help bring that knowledge is the same, transferable with how people are doing successful, how you get good at anything. Effort. First of all, you need to have fun. You need to have an environment that's welcoming. You need to have the effort, and then you need to listen to your coaches. There's a lot to it outside of that, but those are 3 things. But the environment that you create is first. So I think all of my experiences allowed me to create environments that make people want to be in it. Doesn't matter what sport. And yeah, I just want to do as much of it as I can because I don't know if I'm always going to be here.
Right.
I want to do everything I can. I love what I do. I don't work. I don't look at it that way.
Right.
I pick up my kids whenever it's creating the life that you want to live and making the change that you want to see. You need to be a part of the solution, not the problem. And I refuse in any areas of my life to be a part of the problems. I want to make sure that I'm pushing my life to be a part of the solutions, and I'll do whatever it takes to do that. It just so happens that we're talking about tennis and pickleball, and those are the areas that I'm doing it. But I'm loving it. I'm loving everything about it.
Right.
Even the energy that's coming from the tennis side, we need this energy. We want tennis to do better. We have been dormant in some areas. So now this energy, let's hopefully we can turn it into positive energy and get some more things going. And I'm still heavily involved. National teams, be helping with the Davis Cup team. There's nothing that's changed for me. But there's 24 hours in a day.
Right.
And yeah, I just want to do whatever I can.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier you just fell in love with pickleball because you was messing around with it. What was that like? When was that moment that you said, hey, I really, really enjoy this sport?
Didn't take long. I love any sport that I can go out and compete and have fun in. It's the whole point, right? I mean, cricket, football. I grew up. Everyone knows of our family. I did all sports.
Right.
It just so happens that pickleball is close enough, and some of the areas that I'm struggling with in my older age, with having to cover a whole court, I can't cover the whole court and keep up with these guys anymore.
Right.
So going out, the environment was welcoming. I enjoy competing. It's what any of us do. I mean, even guys who kick over here,
Right.
over in the grass over there on a Sunday morning, they get out to be active. They like to compete. And it just so happens because of my background and how many years I've played tennis, I've hit 1 million tennis balls. So coming out and playing pickleball, this is happening around the world where people are transferring over. So I wouldn't say there was a moment. I would just say that there was the realization that if I did this, I can keep up my activity. It's another way that I can have an impact on people because I saw what it was doing. Like people just like being around me on the court because same energy as they like being around me in tennis. So I would just say I enjoyed it, which means like why not? And there wasn't much thought to that. I didn't get involved to like get to even that. I never even had national pickleball director in my mind.
Right.
It just so happens if you're a positive person, you're doing the things. It just flowed in the way that the opportunity presented itself, and yeah, for me, it's a no-brainer. So I would say I just enjoyed just hitting the ball around and saw that I could create positive change within it and add on to what I'm already doing, and still enjoy it. And I got my kids involved, trying to get my wife involved. And yeah, I mean, there's really not much more to it than that. It wasn't planned out.
Right.
Even the retirement wasn't planned out. I was like, look, I'm gonna play a few more years, but you would know this. We've had this convo off air before. What it takes to play at that level. I wanted to spend more time with my family, and this role doesn't entail being the number one player and needing to play international competition right now. Even though I hope to play a little bit within pickleball, it still allows me to be a good father. It still allows me to spend my time, good husband, good family, person. So yeah, it's just if it makes sense, it makes sense,
Right.
and I'm enjoying it, and I know I'm blessed to be in the position I am with the amount of years that I've done doing the things that I have. Come from a very very powerful family within sports that have done a lot of positive things. I mean, my dad's been the president, had good role models to be able to use, because that's what it is. I mean, we start to lose the plot when you're playing a sport. What do you play the sport for? You play initially because you enjoy something.
Right.
You play it after that because you want to get better at it. What's next? If we don't have pathways, how many athletes do we know that were great football, cricket that ended up struggling after? So for me to be able to help that bridge the gap, start creating more career pathways, which means now it's a sustainable framework for the future, it's a no-brainer.
Right. Now, I know the PBA probably has a vision of a 5-year, a 10-year plan of how many people they want to, get involved, as many as they possibly can. What does the first 3 years look like for the PBA with your discussions with them?
PAB, but
PAB.
yeah, I mean, I think we're looking long, but they're only a year in existence. This role that with the director role, these pathways that we will create, I would say is more in enhancing them for the first few years. We definitely want to have a regional presence by them. The numbers, the other stuff is going to grow on its own. How many members we have, because this thing is really moving in a very positive way. Being a part of bringing in more groups, working with BTA, the national teams, it would be every year, hoping to have a bit more, funding and teams and people coming involved, the level of that, more presence within the schools, hopefully a part of the PE curriculum within that time frame. But I would say outside of that, those are kind of the main things. Within the plan, we're obviously putting together a long-term athlete development plan as well, which the youth and sport require for you to be a part of their grant processes. Right. So I would say that's kind of the main thing for us is get a foothold as an organization, get in with our international governing body so that we have the national teams, we have the regional presence, and then all of that together with the schools and the grassroots programs, and then creating the framework for the players here to learn more effectively and learn the proper techniques is kind of that 1 to 3. Right. Because within that, we need to establish that and then figure out, because it doesn't exist in the region.
Right.
And that's the goal. We can be the DR of tennis in the region. I truly believe that, because we're not behind. We would be leading it. I mean, I don't know of one sport, obviously tennis introduced to the US, but if you want to talk about how tennis, they had 50 years of academies before we had an academy.
Right.
So like, if we want to talk about the development of tennis, they were far ahead of us. Did we bring it over there? Yes, that is a part of our history. But like, we have the opportunity to get it in the schools, get some academies going, and really start the process of creating them pathways. And from there, that's more government funding. Because remember, within the grants, it works with You have to have the high performance, the national teams, and the grassroots side.
Yeah.
It's great to have the adults, but they're not giving money for recreational tennis
Right.
or recreational pickleball.
Right.
So once you have that, now you're talking about a next generation of people coming. Now you're talking about a lot of people are going to play pickleball anyway because the entry level is easier.
Right.
It's more social. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much within that 3 years. I think it will evolve because we're new and there's a lot of moving parts that are happening as we go. But yeah, the first step was getting someone that had a vision to help their vision because they're very organized.
Right. Right.
So an organized board of directors with me bringing the knowledge that I've had within the region and some within tennis, I think the sky's the limit.
All right. Well, we want to say congratulations.
I appreciate
Look forward
that.
to, you know, your we'll get back with you in about 6 months, see how things are progressing.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's going to be a lot of things happening here at the WERJO Tennis Stadium where pickleball has courts and always people down here that they can hear them in the background.
Sure.
You know, so we look forward to seeing this sport grow and as well as the whole program.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And as always, thanks for having me on. It's good that, you know, these are good to get the proper information out. These are good for being able to share, you know, what's really going on. Because like I said, the transparency, you know, looking at this as how we work together. We have a facility here that's going to be full of tennis and pickleball. With Lambert Island Tennis down here and MTM down here, the tennis is full.
Right.
It literally is full.
Yeah.
Every single night is full. Trust me, I can't even do some lessons because it's so full. If we feel this and we feel that, I mean, if we can have positive impact to 5,000 to 7,000 people a year out of a government facility using racket sports,
Yeah.
I don't see how we can't come up with solutions for all of the issues that are being brought up. So,
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Appreciate it, my man.
Thank you.
Yeah, Pure Lex coming, but it's all good.